Welcome. I got a new tarot deck and I'm excited to share with somebody. um, so I thought I would do a review of this deck. It's one that's been on my wish list for a long time, and I got it for myself for my birthday. So this one, it's called Heartwood, and it's volume 5, it looks like, and it is by Heartwood-Three Tarot. So there's the box. And it came in a cute little package with some extra stuff, which I love when I get a deck and there's like extra things. It's part of the whole experience. But to give you an idea, there's some fun stickers. This one says there's an oracle coming. That's fun. A little thank you card, and it's using, you know, pictures from the deck, so that's cool. This one's kind of cute. It could even be like a gift card or something, like a I don't know, a thank you note, a little note. One of the things that I actually have really liked about this deck is that it came with these like cheat cards with just quick descriptions of the different cards, including the majors. And this deck has 1, 2, 3, 5 additional major cards, which is kind of fun. So there's the art on the backs of the cards, and there are a couple extra, you know, like package cards. I've already shuffled them and gone through them and read through them and everything. But before I show you some of the images, I thought I'd give you my thoughts, which, you know, who cares? Maybe you do. For what it's worth. I have a couple of things, you know, that I'm picky about with decks, and I thought, I don't know, it might be useful information for someone. If you're interested in this deck and you're wondering what kind of images there are, or you're wondering what's the thickness of the cards, or how do they shuffle. So my observations are that I love the art. They're a little thick for me. Makes them a little hard to shuffle, but they're very flexible, so I think it might get easier over time. In fact, I feel like it already has. But another main issue for me is that they don't slide very easily. So if you can tell, so even the side shuffle, which I don't normally enjoy anyway, it still is very hard. Like, they don't really separate very well. If you can, hopefully you can see. Hopefully you can tell. Otherwise, this is pointless. Who's it going to help? I don't know. Somebody, anybody. If it helps anybody, it's worth it. So, enough of that. I'll show you some of these. That's another thing for me when I'm buying a deck. I like to see as many of the images as I can to see if I'm going to connect with the deck. So hopefully this will help other people also. It's an animal deck, which I normally am not very drawn to for some reason, but this one I was. It has a lot of different animals, but it has a lot of mice images. I don't know why. Maybe there's a reason. Maybe if I read the description, or I don't know. But one thing I do like about this deck as an animal deck is that it's not one animal per suit, if that makes sense. A lot of decks will do like one animal per suit, like dragons for wands maybe, or fish for cups, right? And I feel like it kind of limits it, and this one is not like that, so I like that about it. I don't know, I feel like they'd be a good size if they were not quite as thick. So shuffling them, it's kind of difficult for me to get my hands even around them to shuffle. But yeah, it's definitely gotten better. I've kind of broken them in, but you can see, like, they don't slide very well. But I still love them. So, you know, it's hard. Maybe if I trimmed them down a little bit, but then, you know, you lose some of the art. But I do feel like if it helps me use it, there are different things about decks that if, you know, it stops me, it prevents me from using them. So if they're hard to shuffle, if I don't feel like they're separating well, it's not the deck I'm gonna pick up. So if anybody has any ideas for how to fix any of those problems, I'd love to hear it. Anyway, I'll flip through these and I'll try to talk. I'm not very good at doing more than one thing at a time, but I think this deck stood out to me because the art feels very magical to me. But when my husband saw it, he described it as more apocalyptic, and I actually love that about it. Now I can totally see that. It's like abandoned human spaces that nature is reclaiming. And I have this idea or this thought recently about how nature, animals and plant life can thrive without us, but we literally can't survive without it. And it feels like that in these images. Like humans have, you know, are no longer there, and the animals and the plant life are reclaiming those spaces. Is kind of the vibe, and I love that. I feel like that's really beautiful. But yeah, also a very magical feel. It's not dark in that way. It's very beautiful to me. That one's cute with the little spider. I don't like spiders, but I like that. They're just so beautiful. And like I said, I love that it's not the same animal for everything. So I think they're beautiful. So I would buy them again, probably. I'm hoping that maybe the coating, I don't know, it kind of has like a weird residue. And so maybe that coating will kind of thin out. Maybe they'll glide better. But for sure, if anybody has any suggestions for how to make them more workable, I'd love to hear it. Because that's my least favorite thing is, you know, getting a deck of my dreams and then not being able to use it well and then not using it. So that sucks. They aren't very thick though. I've had some decks that were so thick that they don't bend. You can't shuffle, and I just don't even know what to do with those either. It makes it very hard to work with them. This feels very high quality, and they are flexible, so that's nice. And I think maybe if they just were to glide a little easier, that would solve the problem. So that is my review for what it's worth. I hope that it helps you. I hope that it helps somebody and decide if this is the deck for them. I love the art, so I know that I will keep this in my collection, even even if it's not one that I pick up regularly. All right, have a great day. Be kind to each other, and I will see you next time.